Hello everyone, my name is Steven and today I'm record this video. Let's get started. The Earth is a gigantic ball with a semi-rotten molten rock with a heart of iron as hot as the surface of the sun. Titanic amounts of heat left from its birth, radioactive decay, trillions tons radioactive elements find no escape but up. The current rock of kilometers carry this energy heading to the surface. Earth's crust is the only thing in their way. It feels solid to us, but it's a only fragile barrier, an apple skin about a flaming behemoth. True apocalypse can break through, unleash eruptions 10 times more powerful than our nuclear weapons combined, subjecting climates to century worth of change in a single year, while drowning in a continent toxic ash together. Super volcanoes, how big can they get, and will they put an end to humanity? Volcanoes. There are many types of volcanoes, from towering mountains to lava domes. They have two main sources. The first is the boundary between the tectonic plates, pieces of crust that over the earth like a giant jigsaw puzzle, where there are 7 major tectonic plates and dozens of them drifting against each other to up to 15 centimeters per year, which sounds slow, but geological time scale is a titanic struggle over to stay on the surface. The winning plate crumbles a new mountain range, while the loser is shelved underneath. The ocean of hot rock, 1300 degrees. The temperature here is enough to melt the rock for the unchained special of all mass. Tectonic plates are usually contacts with waters for thousands of years and absorb some of it. When they are submerged into a hot underworld, this water triggers chemical transformation and allows tiny portions to melt into magma. Liquid magma is less dense than solid rock, so it rises to the surface angry bubbles, accumulates in a sponge-like reservoirs in the crust. If enough to crush the magma, it's powerful enough to pierce through the crust, what we experience at volcanoes. It happens under a winning plate, which is of revenge after the loser. The second main source of volcanoes are thought to be mantle plumes, the columns that much less hot rocks that rise away from the planet corpse mantle to boundary surface, known by them. In a way, as their Earth mantle plumes are a little like hot air rising from storm clouds. Storm hundreds of millions of years old, made from rock circulating at a rate of few milliliters per month. They don't care about motion of tectonic plates. They can break the crust of volcanoes in middle and stubbornly stay active as the crust shifts around them. The volcanic boom meters. Scientifically loves to put big booms on the scale and trade off with that scale. The measures that volume ejected in eruptions, the violence or VEI. It simply put is really small and gets very big quickly. VEI2 eruption would fill your hundreds full Olympic swimming pool with lava. We have around 10 of these per year. VI3, we can see devastating effects. The destruction of Semeru volcano in 2021 that destroyed thousands of homes in Indonesia. VI5, we can see the catastrophic amount of materials, cubic kilometers of to an entire molten rock like a Huga Hapai eruption that sends shockwaves around the globe and many times created ocean-like tsunamis. A VI6 eruption could change the world. In 1883, the Indonesian erupted nearly continuously over the course of 5 months. One of those eruptions fell apart, producing the loudest sound in history, 10 trillion times louder and rocketing off and heard halfway around the world. 30 meters high, tsunami swept away nearby population that so much gas and ash were released with global temperatures cooled by 0.5 degrees. The sunsets followed for many years. At VAI-7, we had a supercolossal eruption, million defining events that human civilization have only encountered a handful of times. Mount Tambora was a 4,300 meters high mountain until it explodes with times more energy than star Bomba. 140 billion shot into halfway into space while smooth radius full of skies, turning them into sickly yellow. There's no summer from the years crops died, and hundreds of thousands of people died. This is a dreadful potential of volcanic eruptions. The side of the world yet even century-long periods of being active to them. Okay, but what is a supervolcano? The term of supervolcano is a matter of scientific harm. The main issue with that is not every eruption from supervolcano is a super eruption. Which made a supervolcano special is that we have waited for thousands of years. Its pressure built up and the colossal magma revolves deep until it's become very strong and lift the rock above by several meters. Rock crack under the pressure until they finally blast away and give billions of tons of glass and ash out at the supersonic speed. An insane explosion, or at least thousands of cubic kilometers that impact every corner of the globe, and yet it's only a small portion. A super eruption is like a boiling water popping off the lid off and spilling off the top. Afterwards, the ground collapses and the void left behind, forming a whole colander. And this colander, the pressure starts building again, energy for super eruptions. But this could take for thousands of years. It's estimated one of the few volcanoes capable of super eruptions. An earthquake causes a stratospheric eruption every year, 17,000 year in average. The most recent super eruption is unreal eruptions 2065. The force of thousands of billions of tons of TNT, Mount Everest-sized puzzle was a huge portion of landscape smoothed out and thrown into the atmosphere. It's left behind a calendar spanning 20 kilometers and it caused the entire thousand atmosphere to undergo a period of atmospheric cooling. Both is among super eruptions. The Lake Toba eruption of 74,000 years ago was a much more history. It released more gigantic 5,300 cubic meters in the South Africa, Asia, and 15 centimeters of ash and triggers rapid 4% drop. It's possible that volcanic winters last for 10 years, followed by worldwide centuries. Its climate must have not recovered for thousands of years. The largest volcano events we know were not really a huge explosion, but floods of millions of cubic kilometers from the lava, the finale of the Siberian traps. About 250 million years ago, a continuous release of lava. They raised the ocean's temperatures to over 40 degrees, which caused a Permian extinction, killing over 9% of all species. The Earth's surface needs 9 million years to recover. These sorts of eruptions don't change the climate. They are the climate, but thankfully, we haven't seen anything remotely close that scales in millions of years. So would you be scared of supervolcanoes? Definitely not. They used to be frightened. Many people and overhyped as an avoidable of populace. The most famous one, Yellowstone, will erupted again. It was a relatively small eruption. It's natural disasters for sure, but not enough to devastate the U.S. or come close to ending humanity. The chances of VI-8 eruption in a few hundred years was less than 2%, and more importantly, it will become a sudden surprise. However, the less powerful but more frequent eruptions can also do serious damage to civilization. In many ways, will create a much greater concern. We must watch the slow changes in magma reservoirs, like ground swelling or temperature increases, to get people early enough warning, like the closest to the volcano. There are times to develop solutions that can remove sulfur and ash from the stratosphere to eliminate the root of the climate disruption to previous eruptions. Who knows, maybe we'll even have an agent for good by exploring the general energy field in the giant magma. We're doing this for so many disasters, and we've only doing this could dream about decades ago. They're sending a probe to perform our first asteroid test. This determination, human can really solve anything. So while deep below us is an angry hell churning and waiting for its moment, and sleep well tonight. An angry hell. So that's the end of the video. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.